Fan films have existed since the dawn of cinema. The first documented fan film was created in 1926, titled Anderson, Our Gang, which was based on the Our Gang shorts. Since then, the world has been blessed with millions of fan films, some being high-budget spectacles to low-budget miracles. However, there is one thing common between both sides. Fan films are ultimately made as a labor of love, a celebration of the art that affects us so deeply, and in the end, sometimes it truly shows, as fan films can either range from a true testament of devotion that transcends simply being a fan, or a complete disaster. Sam Raimi, sorry I had no transition, director, producer, actor, master with the camera, we all know and love this man. He gave us arguably the best horror and comic book trilogy, depending on how you view Spider-Man 3, along with some other notable films. However, today we're not talking about a Spider-Man fan film, although there are some that make for great conversation. I instead want to talk about the film that kickstarted his career. Evil Dead. It really needs no introduction, but I'm gonna give it one anyway. I talked about Evil Dead in the Bad Taste video, but let's run it back real quick. Released in 1981 by Sam Raimi, who had previously directed Within the Woods as a proof of concept, this NC-17 horror film caused a splash in the world of film, being one of the 72 video nasties and spawning a multitude of sequels, along with a criminally underrated TV series. No, seriously, go watch Ash vs. Evil Dead. I binged all the episodes in like 3 days, it was that good. Besides the point, no matter how you thought of this film, Evil Dead was a huge success for a film that was unusual for its time, especially in 1981. For starters, this film pushed Sam Raimi's style of filmmaking into the mainstream. The handheld camera movements, though not as extreme as they would become, were boundary pushing. That, along with its dark humor and genuinely terrifying moments, made for a unique viewing experience, despite its simplistic demonic cabin in the woods story. And although it isn't perfect, for the budget and time made, The Evil Dead holds up extremely well. It's no wonder why so many future directors would take inspiration from Raimi's style of filmmaking, such as Peter Jackson, my GOAT, Edgar Wright, among many others. However, there are none that take as much inspiration from Sam Raimi, more so Evil Dead, than Shinichi Fukazawa, who in 1995 would begin work on Hell's Blood-Soaked Muscle Builder, or Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell. There have been many other foreign films that take inspiration from Western media, such as the Bollywood Nightmare on Elm Street or Turkish Star Wars, but none of them even come remotely close to Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell, a film shot entirely in 8mm that would go on to be known as the Japanese Evil Dead. And with the somewhat recent release of Evil Dead Burn, I thought that was the perfect time to talk about this hidden gem and the sheer dedication behind its director. But before we begin, I want to plug my second channel, Uncut Alien. I have an Evil Dead franchise ranking video on there, so if you just want to hear more of my ramblings, head over there. With that being said, let's get on with the film. Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell begins with a man stabbing his girlfriend. What the hell? This stabbing isn't unprompted, however, as beforehand, the man had been attacked by the woman with a knife, before disposing of her body as lightning strikes. We then flash forward 30 years later to Shinji. Wait, wrong Shinji. This is Shinji, the son of the man seen in the opening. Shinji's a bodybuilder who gets a call from his ex-girlfriend Mika, a journalist who wants to investigate Shinji's father's house in hopes of photographing the paranormal, considering the history behind the place. This is where it's revealed that Shinji's father died that fateful night, being seen in this photograph with the woman from the opening. Shinji also casually shows Mika this photo, depicting a strange face peering out the door. Despite this revelation, the nonchalant Shinji agrees to accompany Mika. They also have a sidekick named Mizuguchi with them too, because you always gotta have one of those. They arrive later that day and search the house in hopes of uncovering paranormal activity, finding strange paintings of a woman, while Mizuguchi begins to sense a strange presence amidst. But then, Mizuguchi notices something. A strange, ghostly hand begins to crawl all up on Shinji, causing Mizuguchi to pass out. Bro, you're literally a psychic medium, this should be normal to you. When he awakes back in the car, he decides to go back in the house alone, due to the revelation of their car breaking down. There he finds this bug-eyed doll holding a wrapped up knife, before turning around and seeing the ghastly apparition of the woman from the beginning, who presumably stabs him to death. Some very interesting superimposed effects flashing on her face as this happens. Shinji and Mika, worried about Mizuguchi, decides to head back inside, seeing his glasses on the floor before discovering his discolored body. Upon approaching the corpse, Mizuguchi reanimates, acting as a vessel for the spirit who then attacks Shinji. The two get into quite a brawl, stabbing each other multiple times before Shinji and Mika are able to temporarily trap the spirit in another room. Just as all hope seems lost, the TV turns on, where Shinji is visited by his dad. His dad explains how the spirit was his ex-wife, who is now attempting to kill Shinji as she mistakes him for Shinji's dad. His dad explains how the spirit requires a host in order to utilize its power, and by destroying the vessel, it will cause the spirit to retreat. And yes, this will kill Mizuguchi in the process, but I mean, dude was kinda weird anyways. You gotta do what you gotta do. With newly restored confidence, they head out to find the spirit before being ambushed. Another scuffle ensues before Shinji grabs a shovel and lobs the vessel's head off. But if you're familiar with Evil Dead, you know that Deadites don't go down without a fight. The now headless corpse running it back before Shinji and Mika hack it to absolute bits, god damn. Looking like a whole ass Lego game def. Yet despite being hacked to literal pieces, the severed limbs start attacking, slowly reforming by combining with other body parts, which leads to them biting Mika. Oh fuck. This causes Shinji to finally embrace his inner Ash Williams, blowing its head to halves. After Shinji destroys the host, this weird dismembered torso begins to rise out and convulses for no reason. Yeah, just eliminate this thing, bro. It's finally over, right? Nope. The house begins to violently shake as the spilt blood results in the actual revival of the malevolent spirit. In some truly wonderful low-budget effects, which I can't show unfortunately, this is why you always gotta watch the movies. This weird trauma-looking creature appears as a result, which prompts Shinji to straight up rip its heart out with his alpha male strength. But this is useless, as the creature uses the now possessed Mika to put absolute belt to ass on Shinji, mocking him in the process. As all hope seems lost once again, he is then reminded of his true passion in life. His final form has been unleashed, hitting a few poses in the process to brutally maug the entity, picking up a barbell before the final battle begins. While fighting the entity, he gains the confidence to mutter a few one-liners. Despite another rough scuffle, Shinji is able to gain the upper hand on the creature, before just straight up biting a chunk out of Mika and vomiting out the demon goo. I wonder how much protein that stuff contains. This exorcises the spirit from her body, and with Mika saved, Shinji takes the barbell and impales the entity, then taking his boomstick, shotgun, and shooting the spirit, ending the nightmare and avenging his father. With the entire house painted red and the morning light coming once again, the two leave victorious. Holy fuck! Now, there isn't some deep reason why I love this movie. It just kicks ass. Watching this gym bro power through Japanese deadites with the most homemade practical effects is just so charming. Like, yeah, you could reduce Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell to an obvious Evil Dead copy, but the film doesn't hide the fact that it is, and that is its biggest strength in my opinion. When compared to the aforementioned Bollywood Nightmare on Elm Street or Turkish Star Wars, you can tell that those were probably studio mandated in order to achieve profit, but with Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell, you can just feel the passion behind it. And I don't know about you, but I love it when I can just feel the passion and heart oozing through a film, especially through something like a fan film which requires those elements. Shinichi Fukazawa states how upon seeing Army of Darkness and Braindead in theaters as a double feature, which, insane double feature by the way, I need to experience that it inspired him to make a splatter comedy like those, and he succeeded. Just the thought of a dude being so captivated with the Evil Dead films that he took money from his own pockets to create his own version of it as a love letter to the franchise, it's just beautiful, man. And the thing is, Fukazawa filmed Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell back in 1995, but it wasn't finished until 2009, leading to its release in 2012. Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell was filmed in portions, Fukazawa simultaneously directing, acting, and creating practical effects from scratch, taking a page out of Raimi's textbook when it comes to budget makeup and gore. I especially love this tweet of his regarding the effects. The cause for its unusual filming was due to a multitude of issues, the first being the 8mm film stock. 8mm film can be quite meticulous to use, which resulted in many reshoots. There were also issues with the house used, which was actually Fukazawa's dad's house. The house would suffer an insect infestation, which further halted filming. But this wasn't it, as apparently throughout shooting the film, rolls of film would mysteriously disappear, which obviously led to more reshoots. So when you take all these setbacks in consideration, along with the issues regarding scheduling, considering that all the actors in this film weren't even professional actors and couldn't work around a presumably busy schedule, it's gonna take a bit for you to actually finish said film. That said, filming finished roughly in 2005, resulting in over 10 hours worth of footage, so about an hour of footage a year. The footage was then transferred over to digital for editing, where even more issues would arise. That would lead to even more delays. And yet, despite everything, Fukazawa would finish the film in 2009, where it was soon teased on his blog, where it began to gain traction as a sort of lost relic of its time. It was then in 2012, when Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell had its release in Japan, where it would slowly but surely continue to gain releases throughout the years, occasionally having a few screenings since its release too. This man worked on his Evil Dead fan film from 1995 up until 2012. That type of dedication is next level, even if he worked on it periodically. I still don't think I could put into words how insane that is. Just imagine starting on a movie when you're 15 and finishing it when you're like 32. That is doing it for the love of the game in its most pure form. Nowadays, Fukazawa is still a massive horror fan, owning a horror research blog called The Horror Theater and a horror chat blog called The Hell's Zombie Theater. He also states how he has plans for future projects, which I really hope he can receive funding for. I would love to see more of his work. I just find this man so fascinating. Fukazawa is a lifelong horror fan, just like you or I, and decided one day, fuck it, I'm gonna make my own Evil Dead inspired film because I like the movies. Literally casting himself as the stoic badass main character, and despite the 15-year-long production, he was persistent enough to release it. That is seriously awesome. I mean, the dude literally made or commissioned figures of his main character. You really can't get more devoted to your own creation than that. I know Fukazawa is relatively active on Twitter and has a YouTube channel of his own, so I'll link that in the description. And if he somehow sees this, thank you for creating this absolutely wonderful film. I will never stop recommending this movie to people. So that's Bloody Muscle Bodybuilder in Hell. Honestly, I just wanted to make this video to put more people onto this film, as I think it remains a hidden relic in the vast horror landscape. Stories like these, along with the making of bad taste, are the reason why I major in film. Many people spend their time pursuing film as a serious career path, and while it is something I take very seriously, at the end of the day, I just want to have fun with my friends and entertain others in the process. Also, due to bodybuilding being a central part of the film, it reminds me that I haven't been to the gym in quite some time, so I should probably run it back, maybe try to hit a new PR. In the meantime, the next video I have planned is genuinely insane. Like, this is something I've wanted to talk about for a bit, and I think you'll enjoy it as well. It's gonna be a lengthy one, so prepare for that. But yeah, thank you for watching this short little video. Be sure to check out my Evil Dead ranking if you want to hear more of me yapping my ass off, but either way, have a good one.